This is a Ditch Witch J20, the Wisconsin TJD twin cylinder. I rebuilt this motor, did a complete rebuild on it, and when I did, I rebuilt the carburetor, put a new throttle shaft in, used Briggs & Stratton valve guides as bushings, gives it more surface contact, less wear. I bored out the ends of it with a half-inch end mill and put CR 2450 seals in there with the lips facing out. The vacuum of the carb pulls the lips in tight against the shaft, and you get no leakage of dust or dirt going in the carburetor. It's high temperature grease that's you see caked around there. Same thing with the choke shaft. It's got a one-wire alternator, Petronix electronic distributor. Hydraulic pump is held on there with a double wide chain. This front blade comes off very easily. You can see there's different holes where you can set the blade and angle it however you want for backfilling. So it comes off and on very easily. The bolt drops right in and stays right there. It never comes out. Could use a new muffler. This hydraulic valve has never given me any problems at all. This is an old proven machine. People really like them. They're easy to maneuver around. When I take that front blade off, the outside width of these wheels are 4 feet, so you get in a lot of tight areas. This is for the steering. This is for the boom up and down, digging boom. This is for the blade up and down. This is for the forward and reverse on the creep mode, crawl mode when you're trenching. This little 3-speed tranny with a reverse has never given me any problems. They don't give anybody any problems as long as you keep oil in them. This drive shaft comes out of the back, turns into what I call a jack shaft, or what Ditch Witch calls a jack shaft. And it's all mechanical, rubber belts, chains, sprockets. Real easy to work on. Messy, but easy and cheap to repair. There's a little hydraulic motor back down in there. That really is what that is what pushes the trencher in the creep. That is what powers the trencher in the creep mode. This needle valve determines the amount of flow of fluid going to that valve and controls the speed of your creep mode. So you have a very, very fine adjustment on the creep mode. That's real nice. This lever here controls this coupling that goes over these splines, and it needs to stay fully engaged one way or another. When it's forward, you're able to drive around this place, drive this around your ranch or whatever like a tractor without the implements or anything running. When you put it back, it goes into the creep mode, and it will run this and spin this shaft, and when you tension this, that tensions the belts that go down to a pulley which goes into a right angle drive which runs your digging shaft which drives your chain. Back to this lever. Now this trencher is very easy to run. because there's no steering wheel, and this lever will keep your steering straight. However you adjust it, you just tap it to the left or tap to the right. So a lot of times I'm standing next to the trencher, watching it dig, checking the depth, walking around. So I'm standing in this area a lot, and if the way this is designed is the gravity of it just wants it to fall down, which would take it out. If it comes off those splines, it would then jump into the drive mode and run you over. So I got this rubber snubber here, and I just put that on it to keep it it's cheap insurance to keep it engaged, and it's important that it stays fully engaged so you don't wear on the tips of the splines or anything like that. This outer hub looking thing, outer drum looking thing, is actually your brake. This teeter totters, and on the end of this is a shoe. You got the same contour as this, and it's a cupped shoe that's underneath that. When you press down on that with your foot, it comes up and hits against the bottom of this drum, and it's got a fabric lining, asbestos. It's got like a fabric clutch lining riveted to it, and it stops the whole trencher. It'll stall your motor. It works real good. It's real simple too. It's not like you need brake fluid or anything. Nothing seals up or leaks. So anyways, that pulley down there is sitting back in here, and it's on the end of this shaft, which the shaft ends about right here in the front cone of this gearbox. This is a solid shaft up to here. Turns into an internal spline right here. It's got about 6 or 8 internal splines, and this drive gear that's in this box has got 2 tapered bearings facing one another, just like your front wheel bearings or on your spindle of your car. And anyways, the front of this drive gear has got male splines, 6 or 8 male splines, and so it looks like the PTO sticking out of the back, PTO shaft sticking out of the back of your tractor. And this is like the coupling that you're going to slide over. It's on your mower or whatever, and you slide it over the PTO shaft. Same principle. And you can see it's leaking. Reason being is there's a seal in this cone, about right here, right there. And Ditch Witch recommends you put. It didn't come this way from the factory, but they recommend you face the lips of the seal out to keep the dirt from coming in. You're going to leak oil, but at least the dirt's not going to come in the gearbox and destroy things. So that's the way I wanted it, and so it's got a little leak problem. Oil's cheap compared to gearboxes, so it leaks a third of okay, this fuel tank, if you're digging one straight long trench and not stopping at all, this fuel tank will go for 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's about 1.5 gallon fuel tank. So in 1 hour and a half, you stop, take the plug out of that, and plug right here, and it'll probably take about less than about a quarter to a third of a quart of oil in that 1.5 hours is how much you'll lose. And you can cut that down by a real simple thing. And as you take your grease gun and put about 6 or 8 pumps of grease in there, and that when you check that oil level, when you fuel up, and that grease will I guess it floats it'll literally pull. If you run the gearbox real slow when you put that grease in there, it'll pull it away from you, and it must shove it up here because it'll stop this leak. Not completely, but it'll stop it big time. And it'll only stop it for about an hour, and then I guess the grease breaks down, and it'll start to leak it, you know, a little bit more. So, and there's nothing wrong with putting that grease in there. There's nothing in this gearbox that spins fast enough to say that you need oil in there, because there's an O-ring on the back side of this gearbox, and when the head shaft pivot pin gets worn out in the pivot adapter, that O-ring goes to heck, and you can't really keep oil in them. So people used to pack these things with grease. It's a solid grease, and it's not going as fast as your front wheel bearings, which run on grease, and that was the remedy of fixing the oil leaks. And so there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of grease in there. Now, and I took care of, and I'll get to it in a minute, but I come up with a good remedy so the head shaft doesn't wear like they used to in the old days too. So if you did want to put the seal in there differently, you just unbolt this cone and unbolt these two bolts. Pull this. This will slide off the front of that hypoid gear, and you can, or that drive gear, and you can put a new seal in there and put it in however you want. And so myself, I didn't mind losing a little oil. I'm going to stop this video and continue it here on a third video.